literally the opposite. Half of these motherfuckers come from incredibly wealthy backgrounds. Okay? They come from incredibly fucking wealthy backgrounds, from positions of... Oh, she went to Boston U? Not even Brown. She didn't even go to Brown. She went to Boston. She went to BU. Yeah, not even fucking Brown, dude. Yeah, not even fucking Cornell. You know what I mean? Brown would be similarly elite to Harvard. Is BU not a great school? No, BU is a great school. It's just that you're like, there is a level of elitism that is associated with going to an elite institution, right? Like Harvard or Yale and whatever. At least you didn't go to Rutgers. Guys, that going to Rutgers makes me more fucking working class than every single person that's in Congress. You understand that, right? Like, going to a legitimate fucking state school makes you significantly closer to like regular Americans than these motherfuckers who went to Ivy Leagues. Like, I always find it really funny that people who cry about bicoastal elitists are people who cry about bicoastal elitists literally are fucking, you know, they spent like 8 years in Boston going to every elite institution and then, you know, doing internships at the CIA and also simultaneously like working as a congressional staffer because their father plays golf with some dipshit geriatric politician. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I hate these bi-coastal elites. It's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You are from Bethesda, motherfucker. You are from Bethesda, okay? Shut the fuck up. Yeah, see? He attended the University of Virginia, receiving a bachelor's in science commerce in 1994 and a master's in science and information systems in 1995. He then spent 3 years as an investment banking analyst. By the way, I'm not even saying like, you know, you can't actually be working class after going to one of these elite institutions. I just find it rather strange that these people apply a very weird aesthetic principle that they themselves are not a part of. It's like, why are you setting the boundaries if you yourself cannot fit those fucking boundaries? Like, this is a Kelly Loeffler type, yeah. Early career, Roy then worked for then Texas Attorney General John Cornyn. Cornyn was elected. Roy worked with, yeah, he's been involved in fucking, he's been like a political project for a very long time. Cornell's an excellent school. Without its agricultural program, we wouldn't have cabbage, at least not modern cabbage. All right, shut up, Dr. Tres Gemlin. I know. These are great universities. I know a lot of you fucking go to these colleges. Don't get butthurt. What I'm simply stating is someone like fucking Josh Hawley talking about how he's a real Missouri boy and, you know, how he's a real Missouri boy and also at the same time he hates elites. You know what I'm saying? Is ridiculous. And it's kind of like fucking... The greatest example I will always use when it's a quote from The Office. All right, got it. The greatest example that I will always use is this. It is son of Texas oilman and potentially fucking CIA operative Dan Crenshaw who graduated from Tufts and then got a fucking MBA from Harvard, if I'm not mistaken, saying that he is more working class than AOC. Like, dog, you literally grew up internationally. You grew up in like Latin American countries, wherever there was a fucking coup or some shit going on, wherever there was natural resources to extract, your dad was there. You were born in fucking Scotland, okay? You grew up with a lot of affluence. Like you have a very affluent beginnings, and you're talking about like how much of a fucking working class guy you are in comparison to AOC because she's brown. Okay, that's it. And that's literally it. The boundaries set by conservatives for being a working class real American is just how fucking racist you are and how white you are. I want to know what his family did. Roy was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2021. He announced an indefinite sabbatical from social media, inspired in part by how he saw Israelis celebrating the Sabbath. What the fuck? Roy has cited his religious faith as informing his political positions, including his opposition to the Equality Act, which he has characterized as trying to prevent his family from being able to carry out beliefs without penalty. Roy attends the Hyde Park Baptist Church in Austin, Texas, and has a generational connection to baptism. His great-grandfather worked as the janitor for the First Baptist Church. The Equality Act prevents me from being racist, and that's absolutely unacceptable. Anyway. Other people believing something different, personal penalty to you? What the fuck? Wait, what? Early life? I couldn't find anything. Where does the early career is just bullshit. Early life and education, there's not enough here. Anyway, it's top of the hour, boys. It's the first ad break of the day. We're gonna run it right now. Top of the hour, every hour. There's a 60-second ad break, as you all know. This is the first of the day. I'm gonna run a 1-minute ad here. If you want to no longer see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription a month. Okay, here's the ad, and then we're moving on from this to some other stuff.
And I think that they are harming people, and I think they are engaging in modern-day slavery, and I think that what they're doing to the Uyghurs, and I think that what they're doing targeting our country, and I think that what they're doing to undermine our national security, and what they're doing to steal our intellectual property, and what they're doing to build up their military and rattle throughout the Pacific, I think it's patently evil and deserving of condemnation. And I think that what they did to hide...
I find it hilarious when American politicians criticize Chinese policy because, like, it's literally they sound like revolutionary leftists criticizing America. Okay, like everything they criticize China on, we do, motherfucker. You are an advocate for when we're doing it. It's so ridiculous. Not that like what China is doing is good, by the way. Don't get me wrong, but it's hilarious when a reactionary, especially a reactionary conservative, is like, I can't believe they're rounding up Muslims. Also, we have a saying in Texas, which is round up Muslims, okay? And lynch them. It's like, I can't believe the Chi-Coms are rounding up Muslims, though. Very upset. Like, it's so funny. It's like, brother, you literally just, like, in the same sentiment that you expressed where you criticized China for rounding up Muslims, the Uyghur Muslims, you talked about how there was a saying about lynching black people, and we need to do equal opportunity lynching.
The reality of this virus is equally deserving of condemnation.
Yeah, dude. The funniest thing is, like, the funniest thing is assuming that people are beating up Asian people because like they're or claiming that people are beating up Asian people because like Chinese Chinese treatment of fucking Uyghur Muslims. Yeah, that's why. That's the reason why there's anti-Asian hate crimes. Like, no, they deserve to be scrutinized because of what they're doing. Also, that's the reason. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I'm just picturing like a reactionary white supremacist dude who's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you right now, Asian lady, because of what you've done to the Uyghur Muslims. Like, yeah, dude. I know. It's like, it's when I think of like racist people, I think about how much they care about Muslims in re-education camps. Steven Crowder, we must absolutely put an end to racism against Asian Americans. Let's start by eliminating the requirement for higher SAT scores while closing universities' doors on them after quotas have been met. This is the guy who wants to eliminate racism against the Asians. Okay. I only hate the exact same thing we do. I only hate the exact same thing we do to Muslims and minorities when other countries we hate do it. Yeah. Bro, he's a comedian? Yeah, dude. Like, you gotta be funny, right? Like, in order for you to be considered a comedian, it's like saying I'm a comedian, dog. Like, everyone's a comedian then. If Steven Crowder's a comedian, everyone's a comedian, okay? Like, just everything is comedy then. We have a saying in Texas. I'm Representative Chip Roy, but we have a saying in Texas, hang 'em high from the tallest oak tree. And, if you call me racist, I'll just say I was doing comedy at that point. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually a comedian, not a representative in this capacity when I was saying, racist things about lynching black folk. I was being a comedian. I love that. It's like, oh no. Like, oh no, we were originally going to criticize this person, but now he activated his trap card. Like, oh, he said he's a comedian. No! Fuck! That Texas saying is literally from a 2008 song that Toby Keith wrote for a shitty movie. Oh my God. It's not even an old Texas saying. With all the controversy regarding rappers, politics as usual, beer for my horses. Based on a song of the same name. Grandpappy told my pappy back in my day, son, a man had to answer for the wicked that he done. Take all the rope in Texas, find a tall oak tree, round them up, all them bad boys, hang them high in the street for all the people to see. During Keith's grandpappy's day, 3,437 black people were lynched. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, wait, guys, hold on. I forgot to mention this. I'm so sorry. This is really inappropriate for me to mention. This is really inappropriate for me to talk about without mentioning this. Guys, Toby Keith is a comedian. So it's okay. Yeah. Oh, shit. Thank God. Fine, he's a comedian. So. Yeah. He was just doing comedy. So, why do you hate comedy? So here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. You have to make me laugh once. Okay. In order for you to be called a comedian, you have to make me laugh one time. Just once. Just a chuckle. Okay. If you can make me laugh one time, then fucking sure. All right, you're considered a comedian. Fuck it. Just one. Just one. Like, you can't. Steven Crowder can't. He is physically unable to make human beings with more than 3 brain cells laugh, okay? Because he's so fucking bad. No, not at Crowder. I'm saying with Crowder. Anyway, here, let's watch some of these news.
Reeling after.
Shouts out to Griffin for this playlist. Pretty good. Good job. Good playlist, brother.
Tuesday night's deadly shooting spree in Georgia.
We just heard numerous gunshots.
Authorities have not ruled out whether the crimes were racially motivated, but the shooter has denied race being a factor.
Whether it's explicitly called a hate incident is irrelevant. 6 of the 8 people murdered were Asian Americans.
Yo, the thing that kind of annoys me, I think maybe some Asian people might get mad at me, but the thing that low-key kind of annoys me about fucking hate crimes against Asian people is that whenever this shit happens, right? Whenever this shit happens, the people that they bring up in positions of prominence oftentimes are literally the people that most of the public assume are being ridiculous. Like, there's no hate crimes against you. Like, you're wealthy. Like the fucking what are the Netflix? What are the fucking Netflix? What's the Netflix show, like Crazy Rich Asians, shit like that? And it's never the fucking the lower class immigrants that, you know, work at the fucking laundromat and shit. You know what I mean? Like bling empire Asians. So then you put up like you put up like wealthy and very successful Asian people to talk about this issue, and then all of a sudden people are like, well, what the fuck? That guy's doing all right. He corresponds to my model minority myth of Asians. So why are you like, what are you telling me, brother? I don't understand it. Like, you seem to be doing all right. So I feel like that is a big problem with racial stereotyping of Asians in America, is the model minority myth, which has always been used to separate marginalized communities at every step of the way. And I'm not saying that like Asian people are not fucking oppressed. Of course they have been, right, historically. But the model minority myth is oftentimes reinforced by the media, and it's literally part of the reason why the anti-Asian crimes or hate crimes are rarely ever addressed, and literally just like people don't fucking see it at all. The model minority myth is that like Asians are overachievers and they are functionally white when they're not racially white. They're basically a part of the in-group. But a reason for why it exists is because a lot of the like they're often just compared to black people, right? They'll say like, well, Asians have been in this country for a very long time, but they're doing all right. Well, one, that's not even true. 2, Asian is a massive fucking chunk of a massive demographic, like a racial demographic, with multiple different geographic components. And lastly, the Asians that you think of when you say like the model minority or Asians that are fucking very successful, you're thinking about the people that didn't come here as refugees, but rather people that were able to come here because they come from a point of affluence and prominence. They were able to come to the United States of America legally. So you're not considering like you're not considering the overwhelming majority of Asians that are coming from, you know, coming in with refugee status or coming in from lower socioeconomic positions or coming in as undocumented immigrants even. So they're fucking invisible. Like Filipinos, Vietnamese people, like all these different Asian groups that come from lower socioeconomic standing are oftentimes, Hmong, Cambodian, Lao, like they are. There are so many refugees and whatnot that are in a not in the same situation as like the model minority, which ends up harming Asians because you set these expectations on them. You see what I'm saying? What? I'm sorry, man, but this take's so fucking stupid. Just because he makes you laugh doesn't mean he's not a comedian. You obviously disagree with his takes that prevent Democrats from laughing. Even though I don't like Crowder, there's no denying that he's a comedian. I used to be a Republican and still understand why people thought he was funny. No, he's just not funny. I think he is. I think the most offensive thing he does is call himself a comedian. It's not the straight up racism. He's just not funny. Like literally. It's like a 14-year-old kid trying to scream the N-word in a Call of Duty lobby because like he's like, ooh, it's a bad word and I'll get a rise out of people. It's like, dude, you're just silly. You're a silly person. Yeah, that's the most offensive thing about him. Jesus Hassan, haha. Yeah, that's the most offensive thing about Steven Crowder is calling himself a comedian. Anyway, Asians don't create the model minority myth. The rest of society does. It isn't Asian community's fault that the media doesn't raise up poorer, less successful people in media. No, I agree. Racists also use the rich Asian stereotype as a way to say white people have it harder. Yeah. Asian people have always been used as a cudgel against other minority groups, and it literally hurts Asian people. Most Asian people know this. They recognize it, even though there are some dumbass reactionary Asian motherfuckers that you all know who will literally be the white man's lapdog in a situation like the affirmative action debate, for example. Like, it's fucking disgusting when I see that shit. It triggers the fuck out of me. Okay, like, yeah, go be the fucking good token Asian. Okay, good job. You did it. You did it right. Yeah, I'm sure they'll respect you if you do that. Anyway, yeah, cuck yourself that way. But so as I was trying to state though, like it's just that's where that myth stems from, and also associating crimes with hate crimes, like figuring out the racial component in the motive is already a very difficult thing to do. Okay, it's already a very, very, very difficult thing to do to begin with. In a country where like systemic racism against black people is literally a part of the American core identity, people still will say anti-black hate crimes are not actually a hate crime. You know what I mean? So on top of that, to find the racialized component in the motive against Asians is doubly difficult. And the reason why it's doubly difficult against Asians is because we don't know what the stereotypes are or what is considered to be an offensive stereotype. Most people don't know. So that's a big part of the reason why it's super, super, super difficult to fucking prove motive against Asians when it comes to like a racialized component against Asians because of that reason. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the exotic gaze, not the gaze, not the savage one. Yes. Like, for example, one thing that most people probably don't recognize. Asian women are subservient, servile, temptresses. This is a very racialized stereotype against Asian women. You probably were not even aware of this, or you probably might have thought about it without even recognizing that you are engaging in a racialized stereotype. That is literally a fucking super fetishized, super racialized, like way of dehumanizing Asian women, right? And Asian people in general. That plays a component, that plays a factor in, I believe, the shooter seeking out their target. Emasculation of the Asian male, fetishization of the Asian female. Yes, exactly. Either super servile temptress or the vicious dragon lady. Either way, both bullshit. Yeah. So I know I already made fun of libertarians with Asian wives to begin with. You say this about black people in America. What do you think about the situation of the Muslims all around the world? What do you mean? I talk about fucking anti-Muslim Islamophobia and anti-Muslim sentiment all the time. So I've always been mistaken as a Latino to the point where people come up to me in stores speaking Spanish. I'm always like, what the fuck, dude? I'm Filipino. I don't know what the fuck biblioteca is, dumbass. Why are people always asking you, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca, dude? Mysterious Orient, Dragon Lady, Kawaii Gamer Girl, Femme Man, etc. Yeah. So that's those are I'm still stuck on the fucking biblioteca shit. Okay. So that's definitely a big problem, and it's part of the reason why it's like doubly difficult, like I said, to discern adequately whether or not someone that's a victim of hate crimes is a victim of racialized targeting and therefore hate crimes. So it's hard. It's really hard, especially in a country where, you know, the dominant group rushes to figure out different ways of making sure that something that could otherwise be considered a hate crime is not considered a hate crime. Feel me? And by the way, I do not want to fucking hear from any of you to be like, Asians are really racist. I know, motherfucker. Okay, I know. I've seen like some old Vietnamese people and shit. Like, that doesn't excuse being anti-Asian. Okay, like, we all know, guys. All right, everyone has the capacity to be racist. Okay, just fucking. I just don't understand why people always like. Some people literally think that that's like what goes around comes around. Oh, okay, never mind. I didn't realize that, dude. I didn't realize it worked like that. Yeah, there are like old Asian ladies that have racist points of view. So, you know, just it's okay to do hate crimes against them, like an eye for an eye type situation. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I guess. Oops. GG's white people. Slavery is coming back. Sorry. This is the only way to. This is the only way to make this. This is the only way to make this matter work. Anyway, so even with how difficult it is to track and calculate hate crimes against Asian people have spiked. Even in New York, I think it was like 3 documented instances in 2019 versus 22 documented instances. And some of these instances are literally just like they're open and shut cases. Like, lady gets targeted in a fucking subway, in the subway, and the person targeting her says like, you know, you're responsible for COVID. Fuck you, something like that. Like, that's just straight up open and shut hate crime. And then there's situations that where there might be someone who has a history of like violent outbursts and might engage in like a random act of violence, and members of the Asian community might perceive that to be as a anti-Asian like an anti-Asian hate crime when it might not be. And the law enforcement officers or whoever the fuck is like dealing with this situation says like, well, the guy didn't even see it because it's dark at night, and they stabbed him from behind. This was covered on the New York Times Daily today. The case that I'm talking about is pretty good. You should check it out if you haven't. But it doesn't matter because the community is like, no, that's fucking bullshit. It's still a hate crime. And then there's also obviously so many that don't get reported. But don't know. It sounds like you're becoming a reactionary and tired of chat becoming a no pixel frog, but you can redeem yourself by congratulating Buddha for being a 20k Andy household. What? Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? I already did yesterday. Shut the fuck up. Did you see the video where the retired LAPD detective got in a car accident with a black guy and called him a monkey and the N-word? No, I did not. The New York Times Daily can be really good, or it can be really fucking... Bro, some people are so tied to RP, LMAO, yeah. Anyway, one of the other like racialized components is like Asian owned businesses, and in a lot of places massage spas are considered to be that, which is part of the reason why people that are not openly stating it but kind of alluding to the fact that like the killer knew that there were going to be like Asian people there because he might have had a personal relationship with some of the workers there or knew it, and that's why they went into the massage parlor. And that's the kind of like the hidden thing that people who are trying to be nice about it won't state. And then you have the Andy NGOs of the world who are literally like, oh no, it's okay because they're sex workers. You know what I mean? And his confession was that he was a sex addict and he was trying to deal with the sex addiction by murdering sex workers. And that is enough for people to be like, all right, yeah, I guess that's the reason. And not because they're like Asian sex workers. Andy No is how you pronounce his name. Let's keep watching.
7 of 8 were women. This man targeted places where Asian Americans were working.
Actor and activist Daniel Day Kim will be testifying later this morning before the House Judiciary Panel on discrimination and violence against Asian Americans during COVID.
I'm going to talk about our history here and how we are American and how we are at a crucial point where our government can decide to see us or invisibilize us. And what will it be?
I know you've had conversations with your parents as well about their safety. What are you telling them?
This is happening to our elderly and to Asian women. This is what's heartbreaking to me. But many of us are not born here, so we don't take it for granted. And to see, people like my parents who have given their lives to this country, and to see that this is the reward for their hard work, for putting their heads down and believing in the American dream is hard.
It comes in a year where China was closely linked to the spread of the coronavirus.
The China virus.
While Asian Americans did not bring coronavirus to...
Dude, what the fuck did you think was going to happen, by the way? Even if it's not just this instance, all of the hate crimes that have been increasing against Asian people, like, what did you think was going to happen? Like Kung Flu, China virus, this is China's fault, this is China's fault, China's owning us, China's winning, China's winning. I talked about the deep-seated hatred and fear, like fear-based deep-seated hatred that some Americans feel towards China because they recognize, whether they openly and directly recognize or indirectly recognize this, doesn't matter. They recognize that China is becoming a hegemonic power, and that is creating a lot of fear in the hearts of Americans who also simultaneously see that the American empire is on its last leg, right? So that's it. That's where a lot of this hatred towards Asians are coming from, is the xenophobia that has been building up for a very long time in the United States. And you're not going to be able to deal with it this way. Like, you're just not going to be able to deal with it when one side is like purposely fucking agitating and straight up being super racist towards both China and Chinese people in general, making it seem like it's literally just fucking random Asian people that are at fault for COVID, when those random Asian people's origin countries are literally way more responsible with dealing with the COVID outbreak than we have been. And then also on top of that, even on the liberal side, you have, like on the liberal side, you straight up have the same kind of agitation against China as well. Maybe a little bit more careful, and maybe not directly saying like, it's the China virus, but plenty of liberals during COVID would attack me, saying that I was a fucking a CCP spy, or a Chi-Com spy, or whatever the fuck, because I was offering a more nuanced approach to the way China was dealing with COVID. You know what I mean? Rather than just saying like China bad, China bad, China bad, China bad, China bad, China bad. Like, yeah. I mean, some of you are new here. Some of you probably came after the election cycle, so you're unaware. But I've been talking about this issue for an entire fucking year now. I have been talking. If you go back to old videos of mine from a year ago, from this time, from 1 year ago, from this fucking time, I was talking about exactly what was going to happen if both the Republicans and Democrats kept doing this shit over and over and over again and agitating against China in this way. I mean, guys, Biden literally ran a campaign ad that was like, I'm going to be tougher on China than Donald Trump because they're responsible, Jack. You know what I mean? It's like what do you, I mean, here, look at this. Here, let's take a look. Why has there been a spike of anti-Asian hate? I don't know. An assertive China challenges the West. It's like everyone is constantly, China is taking its ideological fight abroad. Every outlet, even ones that approach the issue from a like international politics point of view, sets this up as like China versus the United States or the Western world. So criticizing a country is racist? No. Criticizing a country is not fucking racist, okay? I criticize Saudi Arabia all the time. I don't think it's fucking Islamophobic. These people aren't just criticizing China and Chinese actions. They're criticizing Chinese culture. They're making it seem as they are like that China is literally fucking against the United States and against Western hegemonic power, okay? They're not treating it as though this is another country that is building its own space in the international politics, but literally like they're against us. They've stolen our fucking jobs. Let's not look at who the real who the real problem dealers are in this circumstance. It's not the capital owners that have shipped the jobs overseas. It's actually just China stealing the fucking jobs directly. Okay? Presenting them as a villain over and over and over again. There is a legitimate criticism of the Chinese government, and I engage in it on a regular basis. There is legitimate criticism of the Israeli government that I engage in on a daily basis. If people were portraying Israel in the same way that they were portraying China, it would be completely unacceptable and anti-Semitic. Like, just completely unacceptable and anti-Semitic. And everyone would recognize it. Okay? I would be the fucking first to tell you this is ridiculous. This is bullshit. How bad will it get? China designs on Europe. Buying up the new world, the coming of Chinese takeovers. Like, it's just... convenient how you get to play both sides of the issue. I'm sorry that when you have fucking actual convictions and you demonstrate your point of view adequately over and over again on a particular matter, it's not so easy to fucking strawman someone and lock them into a position that makes them seem hypocritical. I'm sorry that it didn't work for you, okay? Just try again. China's political power grows with its capital markets. Like, everyone is China's extraterritorial threat. Like, every outlet, whether they are covering covering China from a liberal point of view or a conservative point of view, puts up China as a villain in this story. Okay, portrays China as a villain in this story. Always. Some of it is legitimate criticisms that are worthwhile, okay? And some of them are illegitimate and fucking ridiculous. Almost all of them are things that we would criticize the United States for. Is China not a villain? Their government tried to steal vaccine study data and constantly hack into shit. This is what I'm saying. Like, motherfucker, America tried to buy and monopolize the original German research on the vaccine, and China has been fucking pumping the world full of vaccinations. What the fuck are you talking about? Including, like, Turkey has Chinese vaccines. Like, everyone that's getting vaccinated in Turkey is currently getting vaccinated because of China. So what the fuck are you talking about? At the time I literally made that argument, at the time I straight up made the argument that like, this information should not be intellectual property. This information should be publicly available to all researchers, and international collaboration is the heart of dealing with this virus quickly and effectively. The problem with anti-China propaganda is that they report China as an existential threat to the United States. That's the difference between Israel criticism and Saudi criticism. Exactly. Absolutely. And if you were to criticize Israel as an existential threat to America, I would criticize that as somewhat anti-Semitic, because it's ridiculous. Israel is not an existential threat to the United States. Israel is an existential threat to Iran, or a regional power that is disruptive, right? And same with Saudi Arabia. But they're not an existential threat to the United States. Yes, I'm not even bringing up Palestine. It's obvious. We're not even talking about that. But China is a threat as a world power? Okay. Do you still think China is striving for socialism? I've seen a lot of takes on this, but don't really know. No, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think that at all. I don't think that they're striving towards socialism. And I also don't think that... I think that China is a superpower, a world power that is growing. What they will do with that power and influence is remains to be seen. I have no illusions as to China doing fucking socialism, though. State capitalism has passed the need for small brain socialism. Any country as a superpower is dangerous. China is enslaving people and making them pick cotton.
To the U.S., they have been a frequent target. A new report from Stop AAPI Hate shows over the past 12 months, nearly 4,000 anti-Asian incidents were reported from all 50 states. 68% were verbal assaults, 11% physical attacks. Women reported twice as many incidents as men.
We need to recognize that we are in a collective trauma.
There's a legit argument to make around China being an existential threat to the USA. No, the way I see it, people are going to get mad at this, but the way I see the way I see people get scared of China being a legitimate and existential threat to the United States is kind of like when fucking I hear racist white people say, oh my God, like black people having prominence or equality in their own way is an existential threat to me as a white person and whiteness. Okay? Like, the way that the United States treats the rest of the world, I'm sorry, is literally significantly worse than the way China treats the rest of the world at this moment. That could change, and it probably will change, and that is what superpowers do. But this notion that, like, we should be the violent, brutal ones and not China is ridiculous to me, when I have no control over what the fuck China can do, but I have some control over what the fuck the United States can do, at least in theory. So I'm going to criticize the United States for behaving the way that it is. Bro, China treats the world way worse than the United States. What the fuck are you saying? China literally ethnically cleanses population, is trying to make an Orwellian state? No. China has an Orwellian state already if you are considering it to be a surveillance state. So does America. It's different forms of control that we see in the United States versus in places like China or in the Eastern Bloc countries of the past. Okay? China has re-education camps. China keeps 10 million Uyghur Muslims under constant surveillance. Okay? China has a social credit system that is very draconian. America has different versions of that. We have Guantanamo Bay. We have concentration camps at the border. And it's the different ethnic groups that we are operating this way against. It's not literally a one-to-one comparison. Okay? We also have credit scores. The problem here is I criticize what China does. Everything I just mentioned, I criticize with China because I criticize it with America. Okay? The dumbass lefties that say this is Adrian Zen's propaganda also piss me off, especially because they are literally fucking criticizing America understandably. Okay? Like, people say debt trap diplomacy, right? With China, which is literally the fucking IMF. You understand? They are trying to plant their own versions. They are trying to plant their own versions of what the Western world has done to the third world for a very long time. Okay? That doesn't make it acceptable or appropriate, but it sure makes it weird when we are the ones who are fucking criticizing debt trap diplomacy that China is engaging in when we've been doing that. It's like, oh dude, they are trying to use our tactics against the third world. So far, there have been criticisms from African nations, as far as I've seen, or people that live in African nations, about the way that China has engaged in its debt trap diplomacy. Most of the criticisms revolve around Chinese people literally going into Africa and working the jobs that are supposed to be given to the people that work there, right? The people that live there. That is like one way that is a significant criticism that African people have, people in African nations have towards China's approach to debt trap diplomacy. But ultimately, their governments prefer, or some of their governments prefer, the Chinese loans over the IMF. Maybe because they think that they've been brutalized by Western imperialism for so long that they will turn around and fucking try this Chinese version for once. That doesn't make the Chinese version better. So far, it has been oh God, even Atlantic. The Chinese debt trap is a myth. The narrative wrongfully portrays both Beijing and the developing countries it deals with. Yeah, dude. This fucking IMF is a myth too. You're right. The main component is that China is, in much larger quantities, brutal to the citizens that it has sovereignty over, and engages in cultural genocide and tries to whip every marginalized group back into like what they would consider in the next fucking 50 to 100 years Han Chinese, whereas America does it to other people in other fucking countries and destroys them. I believe that if we focused on truly rebuilding third world countries, rather than exploit them for their natural resources and labor power, they would not seek other global hegemons as an alternative to Western superpowers in their endeavor, in their efforts to rebuild their infrastructure. Okay? That's my argument. And it's the same argument that I have for immigration and mass refugees as a consequence of climate change that is going to become a fucking problem. Just like that is my argument for this conversation about Chinese superpower. Stop saying U.S. does the same. Does not make Chinese criticism invalid. China remains biggest threat for the Western world. Yeah, well, tell that to the fucking EU, who I think is recognizing China's power and is hedging their bets appropriately. Okay? EU is the biggest trading partner of China. Yeah, I know. I think a lot of I think about a lot of China's diplomacy, and I see it as a little bit better than American diplomacy. Nothing to be happy about, but at least they do not bomb other countries. Yes, that's my entire point. Whenever we talk about this shit too. These countries would not be rushing to. These countries would not be working with the Chinese government if they hadn't been fucked over a gajillion times by Western imperialism. That's it. So seeing that as a threat, if you recognize that, even if you recognize Chinese global diplomacy as a threat to United States hegemonic power, then you should literally do your best to help these nations so they don't need external forces like this. Write all the essays you want. I'm not going to read any of it.
Experience.
Dr. Jenny Wang is a clinical psychologist.
What can we do right now to help cope?
We are in what's called a stress response cycle. We need to engage with the people we love. We need to embrace them. We need them to hold us, because that is a way that our body re-regulates and says, I'm still safe in the midst of this chaotic world.
Dr. Wang, my friend's daughter, who is 9 years old, said to her, Mom, why do they hate us? Why do they hate Asians? How do you respond to a child that young, and how do you...
Yeah. China is a threat, so we should fund the government and not education. No, not even the government. China is a threat, so we need to fund the Defense Department so they can get owned by cybersecurity leaks from fucking, Estonia. Like Estonian hackers are leaking, are able to penetrate our cybersecurity forces, and then we can get more mad at Russia and China, brother. Hell yeah, we need to give more money. Don't you dare fucking try to rebuild American infrastructure, brother. Fuck that. China is a global threat. That's our biggest threat. It's like, motherfucker, is China the biggest threat, or is the American government as it stands currently and capitalism in and of itself the biggest threat to American existence? I happen to think it's the latter, not the former.
Provide comfort.
I think when we talk to children about what's going on currently, or even just broadly about racism, I think one of the most important things we need to emphasize is safety, that you are safe.
In addition to Kim, a growing list of celebrities like LeBron James, Ellen DeGeneres, and Wanda Sykes speaking out against violence towards Asian Americans.
There are more of us who do care. And I think those people are in the African American community, the Latinx community, the white community, and the Asian community. But I really do believe we are stronger together.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube.
Why is it so fucking loud every time? Isn't there a point where the UN would step in? To what? Oh, here. This is so we're gonna cover this guy as well on the story. So I will look at the all gas no brakes video as well in a second. But the fucking cop yesterday had the most insane response. Yeah, UN is a fucking meme, dude. I have more power to help fucking third world countries in the UN. Get the fuck out of here.
Begin with this new information, Anne-Marie, concerning Tuesday's Atlanta area spot shootings. The suspect accused of killing 8 people, most of whom were of Asian descent, has officially been charged with murder and aggravated assault. Now, the rampage has sparked outrage throughout the entire Asian American community, which has seen a significant rise in racist violence throughout the coronavirus pandemic. And now, one police spokesperson involved in the case is facing criticism for his response. It comes as investigators say it is too early to tell if the attack was racially motivated. That is what officials are saying. Mark Strassman is reporting on the...
You have U.S. leftists in your shadow actually think China is a bigger threat to them personally than their own government. If dumbass leftists think this, imagine what reactionaries think. Yeah, of course. Because ultimately, everyone... Look. When push comes to shove, everyone recognizes the labor aristocracy, okay? Like, they know what their position is. The reality is most people in the United States of America are still in the top 1% of wealth, okay? In comparison to the rest of the world. And people realize that. Why are we at the top 1% of wealth? Because we fuck over other countries. When I criticize America or the American government on the grounds of what America could accomplish and is refusing to do so. Okay? So obviously NA leftists have this very pro-America point of view. And then there's also fucking idiotic Western leftists that have like a aggressively anti-America point of view as well that I think deserves criticism when they're like, no, destroy American cultural hegemony. That's why we need to have, we need to let China do the things that America's doing. I don't know why fucking U.S. leftists sound like reactionaries there, but like, I find that to be fucking idiotic too. All right? No, you don't want that. You don't want that. You just don't. Like, living in the United States, you consider Facebook and whatever shutting down your left group to be infringement against your free speech, right? To a certain degree. And you are legitimately fearful because of your pro-labor point of view. You're legitimately fearful that your boss is going to punish you. Now, imagine if the government would do that to you, okay? Because China's form of control revolves around literally the government doing that. So do you want that? No, you don't. So shut the fuck up. I say this as someone who comes from a country where the government does do that. It's not great. I promise you. I have talked about this time and time again. There are different methods of control when it comes to information. You either have the authoritarian method of control or the neoliberal method of control. And I prefer the neoliberal method of control over the authoritarian one. I think it's more successful. Okay? I understand the merits of authoritarian control, and I understand the merits of neoliberal